Hey, welcome to the Comic Schtick podcast, the podcast where comics are my shtick. My name is Blake T. Wild, and we are back for another episode. It's been a while since I've done a video or an episode of this podcast. Video if you're watching on YouTube. Audio if you're not, if you're listening to it someplace else. Spotify. Podbean. iHeartRadio. I can't remember where it is, but it's not on Apple. This is the triumphant return. We're still in season 3, I think, of the show, the podcast series, the Comic Schtick season 3. I didn't really have much to talk about. Is how that is usually what happens when I don't do these episodes for a while, or I'm just too busy. And it was kind of both. But we are finally here with the return of the MCU. What was the last proper MCU film that we got? Was it Ant-Man? Was it Guardians? It was the Marvels! Of course, the Marvels! 2 years ago was the last time we got an actual MCU film, and everybody hated it. I liked it. I have a video on it. I photoshopped the characters' heads onto... What did I do? Did I photoshop the characters from Gen V onto the Marvel's bodies? I think that's what I did. But that was the last major MCU add-on addition, aside from the television shows that we're still in the midst of. But finally, the MCU's back. We're almost done with Phase 5, ending in 2025 this year. And we're going to be beginning Phase 6, also this year, in a couple months, actually. And that is why we are discussing Captain America Brave New World. I'm also discussing the future of the MCU as it stands. I'm going to be going over the remainder of what's left in Phase 5, and then I got the Wikipedia page right here on my computer device. And I'm going to just kind of look over this, give me my thoughts. My friend and I usually, our conversations devolve into the MCU. And so more often than not, it usually winds up with me Googling the phases that we're currently in and are upcoming, and pretty much just doing this. But now I'm doing it alone, directly to you, in a one-sided conversation. Leave your comments down below if you're watching it on YouTube. I think you can comment on Spotify. I don't know what other apps, services that host this podcast you can comment on, but make sure to leave a review, like, subscribe, and check out my Patreon for my comics, The Custodians Agents of Cross, an original comic series created entirely by myself. I did everything from the writing to the drawing to the coloring. All of it was me except for the printing. And I will be attending AZCAF, Arizona Comic Arts Festival, March 22nd, 2025 at the Phoenix Shrine Auditorium in Phoenix, Arizona. So come by, check that out. It is a purely comic-based convention. It's not like a Comic-Con or a fan convention. It's purely about people who make comics, sell comics. There's no anime, there's no tchotchkes, there's no fucking 3D printed booby mouse holders or whatever, these things, the mouse, what is that called? The little mouse pad? Not a mouse pad. None of that. It's all comics. Brian Azzarello's going to be there. Kevin Eastman's going to be there. I'm going to be there. Yes, I rank myself amongst them. So come by, check it out. It should be a pretty cool show. It's one day, March 22nd, 2025. And then after that, my comic, The Custodians Agents of Cross, will be available on my Etsy shop. Currently, it is being posted weekly in a serialization on my Patreon, where I also do commentary and like how the pages were created, what my thoughts were, this and that, blah, 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 backstory and all that. So now that that's done, now that we're about 6 minutes into this fucking episode, let's get right into this. You're going to be hearing a lot of mouse clicking, so I apologize for that. So I'm going to get this started with one piece of comic book-based news that has occurred since the last time I did an episode. I think I might have discussed this, but not at this length. And that is Hush 2, because they announced it to everybody's shock and utter surprise. And I received this message, this little piece of fan mail on Instagram from T from the Valley. So T, if you're watching, thank you for bringing this up and reminding me, because I totally forgot about it. So T from the Valley says, "Hey Blake, huge fan of the channel. Been watching since the early days of COVID, especially love your Ultimate Marvel videos. I know you think Batman Hush is overrated. I agree. Thank you. And I just thought I'd give you a heads up that DC decided to make Hush 2, or as they've titled it, Hatuha." Because how else are you going to pronounce that? H-U-2-H. Hatuha. You should give your thoughts on the next Comic Schtick podcast. So, first of all, T, I looked it up. I don't think that that is the proper stylization and title of it, although it wouldn't surprise me if they do that as well. Because the one I kept seeing was even worse. It was Hatoosh. It was H2, the number 2, S-H. Hatoosh. Fucking Christ. It is so stupid. The number 2 looks like an S. Why wouldn't you just do that? And it's like they don't even... it's not like they replaced the letter U in Hush with the number 2. What they did is... what I've seen is that the logo is Hush, just like the original one, but I think the typeface is blue. And then inside the 2 is inside the U is a 2. And it's red, so it stands out. Does that interest you at all? Because Hush 2, or Hatuha, or Hatoosh, releases March 25th, and it's going to be 6 issues long, is what I would say if that was it. Because I then learned that after this 6 issues, which run in Batman 158 to 163... that's only the first half. The second half is coming a whole year later in 2026. What the hell are they doing? Do people want Hatoosh this much? I am liking the fact that it's not like its own separate big event. Like, this is clearly them trying to get that nostalgic vibe for all the grown men who are the only audience buying comics now, to be like, Hatoosh! It's like the original Hush, but it's Hatoosh, and it's also releasing in the regular Batman comics. And just like Hush, Hatoosh is like kind of overriding what was currently happening in the books, if I remember correctly. So it's not going to be its own separate event. No, this is actually happening in regular Batman issues. And each issue is going to have like 15 variant covers, because that's the only way you can make money. My God, I've said it plenty of times before, just my disdain for Hush. And I can't imagine what my thoughts would be on Hatoosh, but I'm never going to read it. Unless until it comes out. I'll give it maybe like 2 years, maybe a year and a half. Because I don't want to cover comics that are like too new on the channel, which is why I usually do ones from like 20 years ago or longer. Because it gets kind of like the argument can be made that it's kind of like piracy or something. You know, if I'm doing like a comics explain or a comic historian style thing, where it's like, oh, here's this weekly video on the comic that just came out in video format, then I kind of feel like I might be pushing it a little. Like my original videos, I was just a lazy bastard and that didn't know better. So I'm like, I was posting like full like panels and pages with like the words still on the balloons. That's, I've since stopped that because I realized it. but like I just feel like doing a comic that's so recent is kind of like pushing my luck a little. So maybe one day I'll cover this. Hopefully I won't have to go to the public library to record it again like I did in the first video, wink. But we'll see. It's not looking good though. It's not looking like I will, because the previews, what I saw, show Hush assembling and like getting little paper standees of various heroes and villains of Gotham City, and he's arranging them around on a map while quoting Aristotle. There's just something about that upsets me. Because it's just Jeff Lowe being like, Hush is actually a really smart guy. He knows Aristotle quotes. He's read the Meditations of the great Aristotle. But how can you not like Hush? He's the greatest villain that's ever existed. He's a genius surgeon who kind of worked with the Riddler, kind of got played a little bit by the Riddler. I just don't care. I don't care. I don't care that Hush's new gauze face wrap forms an X over his face. Why is he still wearing the gauze? You look like Bruce Wayne. It doesn't, his face it's not fucked up. He's not like Jigsaw. Just, why? Why has he still got the gauze on? It's been... However, how many years has it been? Like 20 years since the first one came out, and he's just now gotten half of the gauze off of his face? He also updated his suit to be red and black. And according to the article I saw, there are new designs for characters, all by Jim Lee. Because Jim Lee is returning. Jim Lee... Yeah, I know he's like a renowned artist. I've never cared for Jim Lee. I'll say it. I'll say what everybody's too cowardly to say. Jim Lee seems like a swell guy. I'm sure I could get along with him very well. He seems very patient, very nice, very sort of to himself. Let's get stuff done. Never cared for his art. It's very static, I think, and not in a good way like Mike Allred's. It's too almost textbook. Like, he understands anatomy too well. And I just don't like it, especially recently, since he's, like, really pulled back on what he's done since he has such a high up position at DC. Like, he would do those, the live streams. I don't know if he still does. He might. But I never thought much of that art was, like it's good because it's him. But at the same time, it just felt so lifeless. And that's what I kind of felt looking at these images as well. All the characters, there's nothing extravagant. There's nothing insane happening with these redesigns, if that's what you're thinking. Based on, like, the thumbnail drafts and the sketches that they've posted on this article from Jim Lee's, actual page work, it's like, Catwoman's suit is... like, it goes up to her neck. It almost looks like the Darwin Cook Catwoman, like with the thick ears, too. And Harley Quinn, she has thicker jester hat thing. I don't know what that's called, actually. I hope you're happy, T. You just ruined my day. I hope you're happy about hearing me complain about this for about 10 minutes. I don't care about... I forgot what it's called. Hatoosh. What are your thoughts on Hatoosh? Let me know in the comments below. I am not excited. What villain's it gonna be that's actually behind everything? Or is Jeff Loeb just gonna make his own, like, okay, well, Hush is cool now. Is he gonna, like, Jim Starlin it, where every time Thanos shows up, it's like, it's the coolest thing ever. It's gonna be another round of, hey, look at all these classic Batman characters that we're getting Jim Lee to draw. Maybe there's a couple new ones. Maybe Professor Pig shows up. Probably not. I feel like Jeff Loeb doesn't know who that is. Maybe Two-Face. It's probably, what is it gonna be? The characters that weren't present in the original Hush? Is that what this is gonna be? Is Mad Hatter gonna be there? I know Jeff Loeb likes Mad Hatter. He always fucking put him in those 90s books that he did. But speaking of characters that are from DC. DC's Creature Commandos has been renewed for season 2. Great show. I haven't finished it yet. I kind of fell off after the Weasel episode, and then I just didn't bother picking it back up. It's annoying because I feel like, you know, I don't want to put it on one monitor while I'm working on something on my main monitor. Like, if I'm working on, like, the custodians pages in Photoshop, I can't have, like, a show that I'm invested in over here because I actually want to give it my actual attention and, you know, watch it and enjoy it. So I've just been working on that too much to really warrant it and, like, focus on anything else. And then I also run into the problem where I sometimes feel like if I'm just sitting around watching TV or, like, playing a video game or something, like, unless it's me doing that with my wife, like we watch a show together, like we're watching a movie, or we're playing Lego Star Wars on my original Xbox or something here in the office, then I feel like I'm wasting time that I could be doing something on my computer, working on a project, making something, getting the comics done, getting the comics scanned, getting videos ready when I can. That's another thing that sort of takes second base to getting these 6 issues of the Custodians finished. Because I've been working on this almost 10 years now. The Custodians originated in my noggin back in high school, and it's next year will be 10 years since I graduated high school. Jesus Christ. And so I just really want to get this stuff done, and I just feel like I can't derive that focus away from other things. And we're also, here's a big revelation, we're trying to find a new place to live. This is an apartment. We've rented this out for a couple of years now. And we are trying desperately to find a place that is affordable and nice and not a flipped piece of shit, so we can actually own a home. We had a condo that we found that we enjoyed for quite a bit. We didn't, purchase or anything, because we have to wait until our lease is up, because we do it a year by year. So we got to wait a couple months until the lease is up and hope to God that we find something. But anyway, the condo that my wife loved got scooped up, so that's fucked. So it's just a lot of stress, a lot of stuff going on, a lot of me feeling like I'm not doing enough and that I am hating myself for not continuing, for not working on things, for not trying to position myself in a way that I can make my works aware to others. It's a lot of self-hate. It's a lot of loathing and anger at myself. Sometimes I'll lie in bed before going to sleep, torn with anxiety that I should be working on the computer, that I'm going to die soon. It's horrible. I don't know how I got here from Creature fucking Commandos, but that's just what happens on the Comic Schtick. Moving on. I should have put this before that, but who cares? Jonathan Hickman is apparently making a new comic series, event called IMPERIAL, coming sometime this year. Don't know really when. Seemingly, there's no ultimate attached to this title, so it seems unlikely that it's going to be ultimate based. Seemingly, it's going to be a Marvel Cosmic relaunch, because when was the last time Marvel did anything cosmic related? Bendis's Guardians? I don't really know. That's like the most recent thing I can think of was that terrible Guardians of the Galaxy run by Brian Michael Bendis before he left and went to DC. So it'll be nice. Dan Abnett's sort of cosmic era, that's the pinnacle of Cosmopolis of the cosmos. But I feel like this is going to be, it's Imperial, so it's the probably Shi'ar Empire, Gladiator's going to be there, the other characters that are parody ripoffs, pastiches of the Legion of Superheroes from the future of DC are going to be there. Honestly, this might some way involve the X-Men, if that's true. Might be... I don't know what's happening with the X-Men right now. I gave up after Krakoa. I just wasn't interested. I read the first 2 issues of Krakoa, never followed anything else. And now they're done with Krakoa. And the only thing I know for sure is that Gail Simone is writing an X-Men comic. Don't remember much else of what is happening. I think Juggernaut's there now, and he has a dumb costume. But it wouldn't shock me if Jonathan Hickman tries to work, like, Professor X into this in some way. Try and bring some of those older elements from the Claremont era into this new generation of the Shi'ar Empire. Who knows? It's Jonathan Hickman, so it's going to be brilliant. I'm sure. But there's apparently not much going on about it. And now we get into the movie section. So, Avengers Doomsday, Hayley Atwell is apparently reprising the role of Agent Carter in Avengers Doomsday. That is... Yeah, that's the first one. Yeah, because it's Doomsday, then the Secret Wars. So, seemingly that's going... they say Agent Carter, but obviously it's going to be Captain Carter. Because why would you... Maybe it's both. maybe it's Agent Carter and Captain Carter in a sort of Parent Trap situation where she plays both characters. Kind of like in Sonic 3 as well, I guess, with the 2 Jim Carreys. And they're hanging out. I don't really know. Is she going to be playing the Carter from the TV series, the What If show? Who had whatever happened with her? I didn't watch season 2 or 3, so I don't know. Not that I hate the show. Just like I said earlier, I felt I had more things to do. I just didn't bother. So Agent Carter, she's going to be back. That's cool. Hayley Atwell, like to see her. I was shocked when I saw her in Paddington 3, a film I just saw yesterday, finally, because it finally came out in the States. It was going to come out after my birthday, and then it got pushed back a month, and I was horribly depressed. But she did very well in there. She looked totally different since the last time I saw her. She looked so tall for some reason. So I'm excited to see Hayley Atwell coming back as obviously Captain Carter during Avengers Doomsday, because that's the beginning of the end of the multiverse. And that's really all I have to say about that. Batman 2 will apparently begin filming this summer, although it is no longer called Batman Part 2. And they're looking for a 2027 release date. My God, the amount of time between these 2 fucking movies is insane. I don't know what happened. I feel like there was like some sort of horrible personal issues that Matt Reeves had to go through. Like, I don't know if somebody in his family got sick and died, or like something personal with his, like, I don't know if he's married or something. But I saw an interview with him, and he was talking about someone who he works with. I can't remember who it was, but he was like, yeah, this person's like, he's had my back and he's been there for me when, like, during some dark times. Like, it seemed recently. It seemed like he was going through some stuff, and that's probably part of the reason why the film was delayed. But hey, look forward to it in another 2 years. Jason Momoa is going to be playing Lobo in Supergirl Woman of Tomorrow, which also begins filming sometime soon. And speaking of casting, yeah, I don't really have much to say about Jason Momoa. Cool, I'm glad he's back. I like him. He's a cool guy. He's going to be pretty fucking gnarly as Lobo. I hope they give him his dog. And I hope he gets his giant Harley and some space dolphins. I hope he really lays into the fracking and, like, the fake cursing that Lobo does. Speaking of other casted characters, Rory McCann has officially been cast as Baylan Skoll in AHASOKA Season 2. That is a guy who I believe was on Game of Thrones. I don't know which one he played. I think he was a tall man. I don't know. But pretty sure he was on Game of Thrones for a while. I never watched Game of Thrones, watched the whole first season, never bothered after that. But he has been cast as the replacement actor after Ray Stevenson unfortunately passed away. And he is now going to be Baylan Skoll. I think he's a pretty good actor. I haven't seen or heard anything bad about any of his performances. So it is interesting, though, that they are fully recasting him rather than either, I guess, like writing him out or maybe using some sort of like stand-in. But I'm fine. As disappointing and depressing as it was, because Ray Stevenson was just a fantastic actor. I loved him, especially as Baylan Skoll. He's one of my favorite recent Star Wars characters. It is nice that we do get to see his story, the character's story, continue. So I am looking forward to that. I loved AHASOKA Season 1, so I'm very excited for this. Something I'm not that excited for, however, is Jurassic World Rebirth, because that got a trailer. So here's from the description of the video. 5 years after the events of Jurassic World Dominion, the planet's ecology has proven largely inhospitable to dinosaurs. Those remaining exist in isolated equatorial environments with climates resembling the one in which they once thrived. The three most colossal creatures across land, sea, and air within that tropical biosphere hold, in their DNA, the key to a drug that will bring miraculous life-saving benefits to humankind. Skilled covert operations expert Zora Bennett, contracted to lead a skilled team of on a top-secret mission to secure the genetic material. When Zora's operation intersects with a civilian family whose boating expedition was capsized, they find themselves stranded on a forbidden island that had once housed an undisclosed research facility for Jurassic Park. There, in the terrain populated by dinosaurs of vastly different species, they come face to face with a sinister, shocking discovery that has been hidden from the world for decades. Duncan Kincaid, Zora's most trusted team member, paleontologist Dr. Henry Loomis, Big Pharma representative Martin Krebs, and Ruben Delgado, the father of the shipwrecked civilian family. Those are the primary characters that are going to be appearing. I don't know what this is. The dialogue wasn't the best. It felt cheap, if that's even a possibility. I'm not a fan of another secret dinosaur island being a thing. Is this part of the 5 Deaths? Isla Muertos? Or is this some other place? Because don't forget, in Camp Cretaceous, the spin-off show set in universe during and after Jurassic World, and between and during the other 2 films, establishes that there is another island somewhat nearby, I guess, populated not by killer dinosaurs, but instead by killer robots. I don't like the mutated dinosaur thing. Why do they keep coming back to the mutant dinosaurs? That, if you're a longtime Jurassic Park fan like myself, I've been a fan since I was a child, and I was obsessed with every online aspect and the forums and all this. You'll know that for the longest time, they were trying to make Jurassic Park 4 involve horrible human dinosaur hybrids that could use guns. And then Jurassic World Dominion, or just Jurassic World came out. And everybody was like, oh no. They're not doing that, are they? And they didn't. But they were edging to it. They were creeping towards that idea with the mutants, or the mutations, or the hybrids. The hybrid dinosaurs and the clones. Ooh. And then the last movie did giant locusts or whatever. But then we were like, oh, breath of fresh air. They didn't do the evil fucking humanoid dinosaur mutant thing. And then we see the idea that has appeared in this, which is the dinosaur mutant, which kind of looks like the Cloverfield monster mixed with the Rancor, which I think is what they were trying to go for. Since it is a mutant, I hope to God it is just DNA got fucked up. Genetic experiment got wrong. It escaped when they removed themselves when InGen left the island. Because my other idea was that they're going to reveal that it's human DNA mixed with dinosaur, and it's smart or something. But if they do that, then that can also lead to more diverging paths, such as, what if the mutant dinosaur is part dinosaur, part established character from these films? What if they're like, yeah, it's dinosaur DNA mixed with the DNA of Robert Muldoon or something fucking batshit like that? I don't like it. I do, however, like the idea of the military force going to an island of dinosaurs and just getting fucked up. Kind of reminds me of Skull Island. I once wrote my own idea for Jurassic Park 4 when I was but a child, and it was kind of like this. It was pretty much like this, like a military group gets sent there to retrieve something, and they get fucked up. You know, how can you go wrong with that? I mean, there's plenty of examples, but the Mayan ruins are, I'm pretty sure it's Mayan. That's usually what it is at least from like the old lore. I really like that aspect of it, and the fact that the dinosaurs are nesting inside there. That's very Jurassic Park to me, because it is very trespasser. It just eludes. It just flocks into my mind the ideas and memories of Jurassic Park Trespasser, which really played up the whole Mayan ruins aspect of the islands. But here's the biggest issue, question, thoughts. Since this is supposed to be the original island, that means that this is before, seemingly, they did all the stuff for, like, Jurassic Park. So, what I'm trying to say is that this would seemingly have been made in the late 80s, early 90s, is when this island base facility was established. If it's supposed to be they abandoned it and then went to Site B and then went to Isla Nublar and did all that. And that means that in the 80s and 90s, Henry Wu and all the other scientists from InGen were cloning dinosaurs that looked like dinosaurs as we now in the modern day think of dinosaurs. But then, for some reason, I guess you could say it's like in the book where they try to make the dinosaurs more in line with what people think they look like. John Hammond and Henry Wu decide to be like, no, get rid of the feathers, get rid of those air sacs, get rid of like the frilly fins, make that Spinosaurus jacked. Make it interesting. We're not trying to recreate reality, we're trying to make fucking theme park animals. Because the Spinosauruses in this don't look anything like what we thought a Spinosaurus would have looked like at the time. It doesn't look like the one in Jurassic Park 3. The Mosasaur's back, I guess. Is it the same one? Why does the Mosasaur have a gang of Spinosauruses working for it? I don't know what they are. The Argentinasauruses, maybe? Whatever the massive ones are. Like, they're whipping their fucking huge tails around. They got the frilly things all along their necks. Just like, why have they... It's not going to bother be explained, but it just bothers me that the dinosaurs in the past couple films, even like in Jurassic World, like the Jurassic World movies, for some reason between Dominion? Lost Kingdom, is that the second one? And Dominion, which I've never seen still, there are just more new dinosaurs? Like, who the fuck is making these? I thought we were supposed to have seen them all at the end of the middle film, the second film. But then in the third one, they're like, oh yeah, there's the big claw one in the Arctic, and there's more raptors now. Where the fuck are they coming from? It's not like they're mating. It's not like they're just popping out of nowhere. So, what is going on? It's ridiculous. Absolutely ridiculous. I'm probably going to see it anyway. But I'm not going to be happy about it. Alright, Fantastic Four trailer. We got 2 more trailers to discuss before we get to the big shebang that is Captain America 4 Brave New World, and then the continuation of where the MCU is going. But first we have to discuss the Fantastic Four trailer. Mwah. Fantastic. I am so fucking excited for the Fantastic Four. I cannot believe how good it looks. Love the 60s, love retrofuturism, love the outfits, love the music, love Vanessa Kirby, love Pedro Pascal. The other two, they're fine. I liked Joe Quinn in Stranger Things. Thought he was horribly wasted. Check out my videos on that from the episodes of the Comic Schtick early on. And Eben Moss something or other. I haven't really seen him in much. I've never seen The Bear. But I do like his thing. Not like that. I don't really have much else to say aside from just how excited I am and how much I'm looking forward to seeing this picture. I did notice Phil Sheldon from the Marvels seemingly has like a allusion to him, a cameo, if you will, in one of the posters. There was a big thing when that came out, is that the posters are using AI! The posters are using AI! They said the same thing about Thunderbolts. No! What the fuck are you talking about? The only thing in those posters that could have possibly be AI was the hand holding the flag that had like a missing finger or something. But even then, that could have just still have been just a mistake on like whatever they're doing in Photoshop and putting it together. The fact that, oh, but there's an old woman who's copied and cloned over here. What the fuck are you talking about? This is the shit from people who've never used Photoshop properly in their goddamn lives, who've never put together a poster or made artwork or anything. Because AI has now become just, I don't think this looks good, I don't know anything about it, so obviously it's AI. There is an Instagram person, influencer, I guess, that I watch. Can't remember her name. Blonde English woman who is very good at jumping rope. She does like choreographed dance routines, and it's fascinating and incredible to watch. It's so much skill that goes into that. Even she, I see in the comments, people saying this is AI. And saying this is AI is essentially what was 10, 15 years ago. People would say, that's photoshopped. It's just idiots running their mouths, not understanding how these things work. Because nothing in any of those posters looked like it was AI. You think a fucking... God almighty, the amount of work that would have to go into generating something like that to begin with. But it's so properly composed and like put together that I cannot believe anything about that. Even the other posters, they look fine, and people are like, oh, well, this girl's back here, and she's also here, it's blah, 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 blah. It's like, yeah, maybe they used the same fucking models to just fill in space. Anyway, speaking of dipshits revolving around this film, I feel like, if it hasn't happened already, that motherfuckers are gonna be Man of Stealing Fant-4-stick now. You know how people, the Snyder bros, are like, Man of Steel's the best goddamn movie ever fucking made. It's the best superhero movie. It's the best this. It's dark. It's grounded. It's gritty. Superman's like Jesus. God almighty. I expect more people to just come out of the woodwork and proclaim Fant-4-stick from 2015 to be an excellent film, an underrated, forgotten gem of a film that was unjustly ruined by a studio that hated it. Which that last part might be true. But it has all the same prospects of Man of Steel, I feel. It's a very Man of Steel-ish film to this. It's like, oh my god, if it becomes like just a mirror copy of what's happening with the Superman film in Man of Steel, but now we have Fantastic Four and Fant-4-stick, do not color me surprised. I also realized, after like a couple times watching the trailer, that the Watcher is probably going to make an appearance, because in the trailer we see the fireballs raining down to Earth. But if you remember in the comic, in the Coming of Galactus, that has nothing to do with Galactus. That is the Watcher trying to cosmically channel a camouflage around Earth to keep Galactus away. So like Galactus, the Watcher created like what looked like from the cosmos, just a vortex of like burning rocks or whatever. And then unfortunately the whole world had to see that. He couldn't make it like a one-way mirror or something. So seemingly the Watcher will be involved. As will John Malkovich as... Oh, what the fuck is his name? Red Ghost. As the Red Ghost. That's apparently who he is. That's who he looks like. So it'd be weird if he's not. Red Ghost is quite the character. And my final thought was that I am also anticipating, aside from that whole Fantastic thing coming back, a lot of outrage, racist YouTubers are going to be complaining about this fictionalized 1960s America being too diverse. I'm like John Hammond. I guarantee it. That was a terrible John Hammond impression. I guarantee it. I can't hear what he says now. Now that I said it in such a Scottish accent, that's all I can hear it in. Thunderbolts trailer. Let's get on to that. What a fantastic trailer. So much fun, energetic, packed of action. I really dug it. I really like what they were doing with it, and I'm looking forward to it. I cannot believe I didn't realize sooner. Obviously, the Void is gonna be the villain, or at least the villain that's on the surface, unless there's like somebody working from the shadows or whatever. But like, yeah, no fucking shit. They got the Sentry. They're not gonna not involve the Void. The Sentry, for anyone unaware, is a character that Marvel created in the 2000s to try to be like sort of a Superman-esque character who appeared around the time of like Civil War and that sort of kind of era of the Avengers. I love that era because the Sentry had his giant like black tower thing that looked like it was from a fucking nightmare attached to the Avengers Tower in the middle of New York. It just looks so weird. And I hope that they do something like that because that would just be really cool. But he was created and then retconned to be like, oh yeah, no. Sentry has always been around. He just made the world forget he existed. So like when they were releasing it, it was like, oh yeah, look at these like Silver Age looking comics with the Sentry and Bronze Age comics with the Sentry going on adventures and this and that. But he has this horrible dark alter ego. I can't remember how it works exactly. Called the Void. It was a horrible nightmarish monster. And Sentry realized that if he continued, it's like every action has an equal opposite reaction. That's the Sentry as a person. Because like if Sentry would do good, the Void would do bad. Sentry saves a cat from a tree, the Void gets a gun and shoots down an old man in the street. So that's essentially what happened. And he was like, I can't be a hero anymore. I can't risk it. The Void is too powerful. So he retired, he made everybody forget who he was, and he lived for years as an agoraphobic, almost schizophrenic character where you're supposed to think is what he is. Until our heroes, the main heroes of the Marvel Universe, come looking for him. And they find him in his house, and they're like, hey, Bob, why don't you come out now and help us with this whole Civil War thing? Then eventually he was enlisted into Dark Avengers. He was on the Avengers team for quite a while. Dark Avengers then came up next. He ripped Ares in half during Siege, that event. And then honestly, I don't really know what happened to him after that. I don't think anybody does. Does anybody know what happened to Sentry after Siege and that era of comics? The heroic age, I think is what that one was called. Because I don't. When was the last time they did something with a fucking Sentry? I don't know why. I feel like he should have been involved when they brought back the Squadron Supreme a couple years ago. Other than that, I've been talking with some buddies online, and the general consensus we've come to is that what the fuck's the name? Taskmaster. Taskmaster's probably toast. Because we don't see much of her during the film. So it stands to reason she might be killed. Possibly as like an example to show the audience how fucking powerful Sentry is. I think we only really see her in that underground bunker scene where, according to the leaked discussion of it, from the footage that they showed of it last year at some convention, all the team sort of comes together, and that's where they find Bob and like this underground facility. So seemingly he's just kind of interred there. That's where he's keeping himself. And then all the doors close, and it's like a trap. And like in this trailer, we see like the fire shoot down. And then the next time we see her, I think, is in the... I think they're at the Avengers Tower, right? Is that where they're supposed to be when they're in the city now? And like Sentry's like, you can't even protect your fucking selves, or you can't even save yourselves, or something like that. Like, that kind of just reads into the fact, like, oh, he killed Taskmaster. What the fuck's Taskmaster gonna do? Not let alone the MCU Taskmaster, but like regular Taskmaster in the comics. How the fuck's Taskmaster going to fight the Sentry? How do you perfectly mimic an agoraphobic, schizophrenic Superman? You can't. Dead. You're gonna die. But this movie just looks like a hoot. I'm so excited. These next 3 MCU films have got me so hyped. And that's coming from me, a guy who loves all of the MCU films. I don't care what you think. I'm having a good time. Who's got 2 thumbs and is loving the fact that we have well-made, well-casted, good-looking, just all-around fun spectacles of comic book movies coming out? This guy. I'm just enjoying my time here. I'm enjoying the fact that this is a reality in which the books and characters and comics that I am so infatuated with, that I made a whole comic book YouTube channel about it, are being shared and loved by people around the world. And it's just so cool to see. Sure, it's owned by a mega conglomerate corporation who's just in it to make more and more and more and more and more money. But what isn't? That's capitalism. We set ourselves up for that. Speaking of MCU films that I love, it is finally time for Captain America: Brave New World. I got a list. It's kind of just a train of consciousness kind of notes here. So I'm going to be going down these. I'll probably go on tangents, as I usually do. Captain America 4, Brave New World. 4.5 out of 5. That's my ranking. I really liked it. I loved all the characters in it. Great characters. Interesting story. I really dug the story being told. I loved President Harrison Ross. I do wish that they would have shown who his vice president is, because that's just never brought up. But this is a comic book movie. This is just pure, zany, alternate reality, weird existence comic book. I love how crazy the world of the MCU has become. At the very end, spoiler alert, by the way, at the very end when Red Hulk is fighting Falcon and they're leaping across DC, and there's just suddenly drone helicopters that appear, unmanned drone helicopters, and like just looking at all this, and the fact that the president of the United States in the MCU is Thunderbolt Ross, a guy who hunted down the Hulk, who now has a former Black Widow agent as his attack dog. It's just such a comic book reality that I love it so much. And I was really thinking, this is what I'm so excited for James Gunn's DC Universe. Because the MCU, for everything good it's done, they've finally gotten to that point where they're embracing the weirdness. They're embracing making the world different. You don't have to go that crazy with it. You don't have to make it look like the weird Illuminati Earth from Multiverse of Madness. You can still have it resemble the real world with these fantastical elements in it. And that's something that James Gunn has perfectly done in Creature Commandos and soon Superman. And now the MCU is finally doing that. Right before they're about to blow everything up for Secret Wars. But that was just one of my favorite parts. I just loved that so much. I like the world building and the lore and just those aspects of it. It makes everything feel so much just full of life and unique. We're no longer in a world where Iron Man built a suit and it's this big chunky heavy thing that he has to lumber around in, where fucking Hawkeye is assigned to watch this strange hammer that fell to Earth and all of that. We're now in a world where the goddamn president of the United States is Thunderbolt Ross, and he became the Red Hulk on national television. And there's a giant fucking celestial rising out of the ocean. And Captain America's helmet is nanotech. The nanotech thing, that still throws me off every time it happens, and they just keep doing it. Like Ghost in Thunderbolts has a nanotech helmet. But I think just at this point, based on everything that I've discussed about how far the MCU has gone into sci-fi, honestly, it's weird if they don't have, like, a nanotech helmet at this point, right? Like, it'd be like, oh, well, why don't you have one? Seemingly, they're easy enough to get for any actual hero. Like, Daredevil having a nanotech helmet would be weird. But Captain America, he has that whole chill pad with the star on the glass, on the frosted glass wall, and he's getting, like, government money and shit. Now, I wanted to see more of that, like, weird compound office that he and Joaquin were in. Like, we only saw it once, and I was very confused as to where the fuck it was supposed to be. And that was an aspect that I loved. I loved Sam's attitude as Captain America. I loved New Falcon. I really enjoyed their chemistry back and forth, their attitudes towards one another. That was great. That it just felt realistic. It felt fun. It felt like two guys just joshing each other, fucking shitting on each other pretty much, but they're still buddies. I really like them together. I hope that we get at least two more, not Anthony Mackie, appearing as Cap in other movies such as Avengers and the other Avengers. I really want more of this. I loved it. I had such a blast. Great movie. The reason that I gave it a 4.5 out of 5, that 0.5, that's mostly from the dialogue. The sort of MCU quippy dialogue. Like, I really thought it worked well for the most part, generally. Joaquin was a very fun addition. I loved seeing him, someone who, for all intents and purposes, is a common layman of the MCU, seeing these more fantastical elements and being engaged in this other world that he's been working to gain access to. Like when he sees the leader for the first time. I can't remember what he says, but it's just like a one single line, or maybe a word, where he's like, oh, gross, or something like that. Like his reaction to the leader, and just everything in general. I loved how excited he was to go to the White House, and like how much he wants to be a superhero. Great. But there were some times when I was just like, it's kind of a bit much, you know? I feel like a thing people might complain about is when Bucky and Sam are in the operating adjacent room, watching them work on Joaquin. And it's like this heart-touching scene of Bucky speaking to Sam. And then there's like a beat. And then Sam says, oh, did your speechwriters make that one for you? And Bucky's like, yeah, the last part. It worked though, right? But that is so in their characters to do. And that's a very realistic thing, especially amongst guys, is when if you're even having like a touching, emotional moment, to sort of like cap it off with but you're a shithead. You know, one little last gotcha. Like, we're sharing this moment. I understand you. I understand your emotions, and I can care for you as a friend and like a brother in arms. But I'm still gonna fucking proverbially tap you in the nuts. And that just works so well for who their characters are, where they started, how they've, evolved over these past years. I really like that. I like seeing Bucky make his little cameo appearance. And also, he's a congressman. Congressman Winter Soldier White Wolf Bucky Barnes. What the fuck? I have a little bit about that later that I'll discuss once I get into the future MCU bits. But that was a shocker, right? And just the rest of the cast is all phenomenal. Harrison Ford obviously is going to do fantastic. Oh, I love Harrison Ford. I've loved him in just these past couple films that I've seen him in. This, Indiana Jones Dial of Destiny. Loved old Harrison Ford. But Carl Lumbly is fucking phenomenal as Isaiah Bradley. My God, I forgot that I forgot that I didn't forget that he was in Falcon and Winter Soldier. I forgot how much he was in. Apparently he was in 3 episodes, but it's not much. And like what we did see, I feel like it just didn't get to really work him as much as it could have. But Christ, I was crying every time he was on screen in the prison. Just, I'm starting to I can feel my eyes watering up right now. Just the inflection of his voice, just how defeated he was, how sad and just heartbroken he was when he got thrown back in prison, somewhere where he spent 30 whole years of his life being tortured and experimented on. It was just so heartbreaking, and just I could feel my heart just being crushed in my chest, and he just did such a phenomenal, amazing job with the character. I loved his introduction where he's fucking swinging the body bag around. That was really cool. Just a really great way to be like, remember, he has the super soldier serum. Just a great addition to the MCU. I'm so glad they brought Isaiah Bradley. I'm so glad they made him a more focal point of this film, because I think that's very important as a black character in this, and as becoming like where am I going? I don't know where I'm going with this. I think it's, I don't think it's important. I know it's important. It's important to fans of the films who are black. It's important to fans of the films who aren't white. More specifically black Americans. I'm not going to say African American. I don't like African American, because African American implies that you're not American. I don't know why I got into that. But just something about this whole aspect of the film, and the fact that it focuses so much on that that torrid past of America. And it's like, there's a big message in this that's about like moving forward and persevering and not letting people think who you are. Sam has quite a bit of stuff about that. Not outwardly said, but it's obviously because he's black. People don't really believe in him as Captain America. Fucking, oh my God. Thunderbolt Ross, when he calls him son, like when he gets pissed at him, I would be shocked if in the original script it didn't say boy. But I just thought that was phenomenal. That, I keep saying that word, I don't know why. I really enjoyed that aspect of it. I really liked that generational difference between Isaiah Bradley and Sam Wilson. I love their relationship together. That almost father-son kind of back and forth, tete-a-tete. Maybe not father and son, maybe, I don't know, friends, I guess. Mentor, mentee. That's a better one. It's like, I loved Isaiah Bradley as Sam's mentor. That was really fantastic. Someone who was destroyed and ruined by America, by the government, primarily because of his skin color, is now helping the new generation, Sam, maybe his nephew, I can't remember his name, what the character's name is, move forward and like learn and grow into a new generation to sort of work on these things, to better themselves, to not be like so downtrodden. I really like that aspect of it. I kind of wish that they had shown more of just this sort of civilian life, but God almighty, was I just heart-wrenched. My eyes were full on watering every time we saw Isaiah at the prison. Fantastic acting, and I'm glad that, nothing bad happened to him, because I was so fucking worried when, oh my God, when he was running and brainwashed, and then he came to, And then I saw that it was like a war memorial or something, was like on the stone wall behind him. I was like, oh god, the cops are gonna fucking shoot him, aren't they? God almighty, I was so glad that didn't happen. But you can't have everything be nice. And that is where I come into one of my things that I don't like about the film. And that is the leader's design. Even though they never call him the leader, I feel like there were plenty of points where they could have said it, but they didn't. Samuel Stearns' design. What the fuck happened there? Because every single piece of promotional art, it shows the tall vertical head, goatee, sleek suit. In this, he's a horrible testicle head brain man, blind in one eye, no goatee, and he kind of wears a hoodie sometimes. It was disgusting to look at. It's not as bad as it could have been if they went full bulbous scrotum brain head, like the Todd McFarlane version. Like, I still did like it, even though I was disappointed at how sickly and grotesque he looked. Like, I feel like it was too grotesque. It was pitifully grotesque. I was like, oh, he looks like, I don't even know what he looks like. He looks like he should be like, kill me. You know, like that kind of gag or character. Like in the Guardians of the Galaxy, where there's that horrible little creature that's like, that they find in one of the cages. Rather than, like, you know, the leader isn't supposed to be a threat, but not directly at least. But I feel like even this was just like, oh, this is like a shriveled old man. It's just odd. However, the glowing eyes, oh my god, that was such a great idea. That was so good to see. And I'm disappointed they made him. Why would they do that and make him blind in one eye? Because it kind of glows, the left eye, but not as much as the right one. Because it's coated in horrible gamma cataracts. Oh yeah, and there's adamantium, I guess. That was insane. I turned to my wife. I was like, oh. And she wasn't sure what I was getting freaked out. And I was like, that's Wolverine's claws. And then she was like, oh. But yeah, the rumors were true. That's been a fucking rumor for quite some time. Was that adamantium was going to be involved in this film, and it was going to be coming from. The fuck is that Celestial's name? I was just looking about it earlier this morning, and I already forgot. It was going to come from the Celestial Island. So that's cool. They're not going to do a goddamn thing with that. Here's the thing. Is that, like I bring up every time the MCU comes up, world is ending. Multiverse is ending. Going to be destroyed. Next Avengers films that are coming out very soon. I think they're going to start filming them this year. But we'll get to that later. Nothing is going to be done with the adamantium. We might see in the future films, maybe, or future films or shows, depending on when they're set, someone has an adamantium weapon. Apparently, according to an article I read, the big bearded giant that Captain America fights in the church at the beginning, he has like a knuckle duster that has spikes or blades on it. You don't get too good of a look at it, but there's some shots where you see it, it sort of focuses on it. Apparently, those are supposed to be made out of adamantium. So sometime between when they stole it and when they met up at the church, they made that out of adamantium. But I can't imagine it's going to be anything more than that. Because X-Men won't be a thing until after Secret Wars. The next Avengers film. And unless when they bring back the Earth and reboot the universe and however they're going to do that, I still think it'd be interesting if they did something in the vein of the new Ultimate Universe. But that's just me. Because in the comics, it pretty much, it's back to normal. Everything, it's like it was moments before the incursions began. But I don't think that they're going to do that. I think that they're just... it's not going to be like, oh, it's like they turned off the TV channel and then turned it back on later and the program's still running. Tiamat, is that right? Yeah, I think it's Tiamat. Tiamat the Celestial is not going to be coming out of the Earth again. That's going to be gone. That's not a thing anymore. Don't worry about it. That was in the old world. This is the brave new world. The new world of comic book movies, where we embrace the ridiculous. I will admit, that did get me to smile at the end when they were talking about like the news broadcasts, and it was just sort of going over how fucking insane everything is, and they're like, it truly is a brave new world. And I was like, yeah, it is, because the president's a Hulk. But yeah, I don't think that they're going to just revert everything to how it was. Tony Stark might still be dead, but they might bring him back in some way. He might be alive, but like retired. They might do like in the new Ultimate Universe where there's like Howard Stark and he's older and young Tony Stark. Like they might do something like that. Maybe not have Howard be there, but maybe like an older Tony who's still alive now. But I don't see this ever coming into play again. It's just a cool way to say, sup nerds, we got the X-Men back. Here's adamantium. Fucking jerk off over it. Something that is a little bit weird, though, is I thought Sam was juicing. I thought he must have had, like, the super soldier serum. Or had, like, been taking, like, bits and pieces here and there over the past couple of years since we last saw him in the Falcon and Winter Soldier. Because he smashes a cinder block over a man's head. Like, he picks it up and boom, boom, breaks it twice over this dude's fucking cranium in the church fight. And I was like, what the fuck? And then later in the film, he gets like stabbed once, and then he gets stabbed like 2 or 3 more other times. He's sure he has probably Kevlar somewhere, but what the fuck? Like, is it? I guess the only explanation is he has the adrenaline is keeping him active. Because that threw me off. Because I thought for sure they were gonna. I knew they weren't gonna cut to like him with like the tube around his fucking arm injecting the serum into his fucking vein. But I was like, are they hinting that he has like the serum now, like a little bit of it? But nope, they explicitly say he does not. And I feel like if they're continuing to do that, then they need to rework some of the fight scenes to be more in line with that. Like, I can suspend my disbelief that Sam has trained so well with the shield that he knows how to do the kicks, he knows how to do the perfect throws, he knows where to angle it, he's taught himself that. He's a smart guy. But how is he picking up and smashing a cinder block over a man's head like it's a glass bottle? What's next? Stearns, he has a nice little inclusion at the end in the credits scene. I thought it was going to be something like Thunderbolts related, but then I looked it up, and I thought it was going to be something Thunderbolts related, but I honestly don't know the last time that an MCU film had a post-credit scene that was like a teaser for what's coming immediately after. Like, this doesn't count because it's not the next film. I was like in a, like, what was it? Was it Ant-Man? I think it was Ant-Man that had like, it wasn't even like a new scene. It was like a full-on clip from Civil War when they find Bucky and his arm is in a wench or something. So that's what I thought it was going to lead into. I thought it was like Val was going to show up. They were going to show the vice president finally. But no, it's Samuel Stearns in the raft. Speaking of the raft, something I didn't like about that was that it should have had more prisoners in it. What, did they fucking put in one on each floor? Because that's what it seems like. Like, how many people are actually in there? I would have liked to have seen, like, you don't even have to fucking make them look unique. If you just put just get some fucking people off the street, get a couple of guys and some women, put them in orange jumpsuits, or no, what are they in? Blue jumpsuits? Is that right? And just put them in those cells and have them sit there for a little bit. Because they're just empty when we see them. But anyway, Stearns is there, and he's like, through all of my calculations, I have seen that the Earth is coming, and you are not the only hero that protects the Earth, Captain America, Sam Wilson. What will you do when you run into the others? Essentially, it's saying that you're so dedicated to helping and protecting people, but when the time comes, you're gonna be okay with focusing on your group more. On your Earth, you're gonna want to protect that one. You're not gonna care about that other Earth that's about to slam into ours. You're gonna want to try and stop it. And the other people are gonna try and stop you. But what are you gonna do about it, Mr. Hero? You're gonna fall right in line with my calculations. I feel like he was like me in these, like every time I complain about these movies being futile because of the end of the multiverse, that was like me in there in the cell. But if you couldn't tell already, this film has like reinvigorated me. Like I am, and it's not just the fact that I'm drinking this fucking Alani Cosmic Stardust energy drink that has, how much goddamn caffeine is in this fucking thing? I don't even know. I don't even see it on here. That's not good when they don't tell you how much caffeine's in them. Anyway, this has gotten me so excited, legitimately, for that journey to the end of the multiverse. Like, I am so hyped to see what comes next. I'm into it again. I'm back. Like, we've had these past 2 years where it's just been some of the shows, and I still haven't finished Agatha all along. I know. But this is like, oh my god, we're building back up to something that's going to be insane. It's like, what is the story going to be? What are these stories they're going to be telling us? How are they going to do this? How are they going to make Robert Downey Jr.'s Dr. Doom a good thing? And I am so excited to take that journey and see where it goes. Because goddamn do I need some escape from the real world. It is so funny in this film, which is essentially a sequel to The Incredible Hulk, how thick they laid the Incredible Hulk references and reminders. I was honestly expecting Ty Burnell to show up as Doc Samson, which would have been fucking awesome, because I love Ty Burnell. But it was just so funny how the movie is like, the first 10 minutes is like, this is what happened in The Incredible Hulk, then this, then this, then this. And The Incredible Hulk is a great movie. I loved it. As an Incredible Hulk enjoyer, I really liked the retcons around it. I liked that Sidewinder, Giancarlo Esposito, his character. I liked that he is tied into it because he was one of the soldiers that was working under General Ross when they captured Stearns. I liked the reveal that, you know, Ross sort of threw Stearns under the bus, made him like the whole reason, which he kind of is. That's pretty much what it was. He's the one who made the Abomination, so he's not wrong in a way. I like that. I like the retcons there. I do wish that we would have gotten Ross to have been a bit more, more of a fuckhead. More of an asshole than he was. Like, yeah, he fucking kidnaps Stearns, keeps him in a black site, and experiments on him. But, like, I feel like they could have gone more with that and really have made it like he used to be. General Ross was a fucking lunatic asshole. But then they try to, like, you know, they try to emotionally invest you back into it, which I was, of course. Where he's like, I had no other choice. My heart was gonna stop, Sam. I also don't like that instead of Ross, sorry, I was trying to find it in my notes just to make sure, like, just to find where I am. I was a bit perturbed, if you will, that the Red Hulk was Stearns essentially fucking with Ross, rather than General Ross purposefully turning himself into it. Because this whole film, I thought, as I'm sure everybody did, who's at least familiar with the books, the comics, that it's like, oh, he's popping those little pills to keep himself under control. Whereas in reality, I guess those really were some sort of heart medication that Samuel Stearns kept bumping the gamma radiation up in to induce hulkage. I didn't like that. I much prefer the idea that Ross had Stearns, like, experiment on him, like, however many years ago, maybe before or after the Sokovia Accords even, to, like, make me the Hulk. Like, fuck it. These superheroes are pieces of shit. We need to figure out a way to fucking, bam, crank up that goddamn super soldier program. Let's go. Turn me into a Hulk. Or something along those lines. Like, fucking test it on me if you have to. Like, it's almost, it would be like, which I guess, like, I'm pretty sure is what happened in the comics. It's like a dark version of what happened to Bruce Banner, where he's like, we're trying to make a super soldier serum. We need a human test subject. They won't let me do it on anybody yet. Fuck them. I know better. I'm going to do it. Boop. But it's a much darker idea of that. No, instead, it's just Stearns poisoned him with gamma and made him Red Hulk. Seemingly does he know that would happen? I don't think he does. Which kind of ruins it for me. Looking back, that's probably my biggest issue with this film, is that I don't like the implication that Ross didn't know that he could become the Red Hulk. Like, I wanted that to be like an underlying thing, rather than it's like, I don't know. I would have to see it again to, like, watch the scenes where he's, like, freaking out. Because does he know? It's like that, it's that Riddler meme. Does he know? But that's probably my biggest issue with this movie. Something that is not my biggest issue with this movie is that Harrison Ford has a mustache flashback where we see him as a mustachioed, green fatigues General Ross. But overall, that stuff excluded about the whole Ross thing that I was just bitching about. I do think it actually is a very good lead up and a good mystery. It's, like, not as intense really as, like, the comic was, of course, because how can you? But it was a good use of the character. Great use of Ross, great use of Harrison Ford, which when it was announced that he was going to be doing this, I was like, oh, really? Like, what? Did they write it into his Indiana Jones contract that he had to be part of the MCU or something? But I thoroughly enjoyed seeing Ross throughout this film. And I'm so sick of seeing fucking chuds online complain, oh, Red Hulk is only in it for 6 minutes. I don't know what the fuck people expected or really wanted. Because if Red Hulk was in it more than that, people would complain just the same. They would say, this movie has too much Red Hulk. Why is there so much Red Hulk? The CGI looks so bad. Which, yeah, there is one scene that really stands out, which is clearly a reshoot, which is during the sunset at the flower gardens, the rose petal gardens, whatever, when Sam is speaking almost directly to the camera, and it's like a high angle looking down on him. Yeah, that was obviously a reshoot against full CG. The lighting's off. It looks odd. But everything about it, I thought this whole thing looked fantastic. But seriously, it doesn't bother me that Red Hulk wasn't in this. Because Red Hulk isn't, as much as the trailers would like you to believe, Red Hulk isn't the fucking point of this movie. And also, here's a question to anybody who thinks, why is Red Hulk only in this film for 6 minutes? What are you going to do with the Red Hulk that hasn't been done already with the Green Hulk or even Abomination? What? What is going to happen with Red Hulk that hasn't been done? I suppose you could say give him a mustache. That's not been done before. You could say, oh, what if he's mad, but he's still intelligent? It's kind of just Abomination. There was no point to have Red Hulk be a major facet of this. That is an issue that is being dealt with. That is not it is the crux in that is what Stearns wants to, like, have happen. Like, he's been planning this, and he wants to fuck over Ross by turning him into this monster that he became. It's like Ross, he wants Ross to have looked in the abyss, and the abyss stared right back at him. And the abyss is in the forms of little pills. But really, that's not the issue here. The issue is the leader fucking around behind the scenes. I am a bit disappointed that my theories didn't come to fruition, which were that there would be a vice president, first of all, and that they would be sort of a puppet for the leader. But, yeah, I just, overall, very much enjoyed it. Thought it was a great film. Thought it was up there. Equal rankings, I think, with the other Captain America movies. I think I equally enjoyed them. Really liked it. I was, honestly, speaking of really liking stuff, I really liked the naval scenes. It was intense. It reminded me of the Cuban Missile Crisis from X-Men First Class, and I suppose the real-life Cuban Missile Crisis, although I didn't personally experience it. And I really liked that. And I thought for sure, because this is a 2-hour-long movie, I didn't know how much longer we had in the film. I was certain that when the naval battle was happening, that was where the climax of the film was going to be, and it was going to be like Godzilla and King Kong where they're fighting on the boats or whatever. Like, as I was watching, I was like, this feels like the end of the movie. Were all of those scenes of Ross hulking out at the White House fake? Like, that was my thought process. I was like, oh my God, they faked those scenes of the Red Hulk at the White House turning into the Hulk like they faked the scenes for Infinity War and the other movies. Of course, that didn't happen, but that's seriously where I thought that was going. I thought he was going to turn into the Red Hulk on the ship, and then he was going to be fucking just destroying shit in the ocean, and Sam was going to be fighting him, and maybe they'll go on to Tiamat and fight on his finger or something. But it got me. They tricked me. They really did get me. And the best part was that at the end, when Stearns gets arrested to fuck up Ross and make him turn into the Hulk, which happens very quickly, he even, like, he has like a metatextual comment where he's like, Sam Wilson, you ruined my finale. Because he wanted the finale to be this international war breaking out between all the countries that want access to the adamantium. And that was just made so well to make it feel like it was the end of the film, and then the movie just keeps going. I really thought that was neat. I thought that was a funny little line, especially because of how well it got me. That leads to an end of my discussion on Captain America Brave New World. Let me know what you thought in the comments below. Of course, what are your thoughts on my thoughts? And now, you know what? We're at almost an hour and a half or so. This is going to be an extra long episode. I'm going to keep going because this is the big return. So let's talk about the MCU's future. So coming off of Captain America 4, like I said, I was disappointed that Ross's vice president is just non-existent. They're not a character controlled by the leader. They're nothing. So that is something that was unexpected, and I thought would work to tie in Thunderbolts into what's being done here, because Ross wants to make the Avengers again as like a government entity, blah, blah, blah. But then in the Thunderbolts, we have Val, who is petitioning her own group, the Thunderbolts, who seemingly in the MCU, it's not going to be that much of the Thunderbolts. I'm pretty sure it's going to be more in line as an adaptation of the Dark Avengers, with Val taking the role of Norman Osborn in terms of that team. Maybe, if we're lucky, we'll see Harrison Ford as Ross cameo some way in the Thunderbolts. Maybe even be referenced by Val in regards to the team. Maybe she had something to do with like that new Avengers initiative in some way. I don't know how high up has access to in the U.S. government. I don't really remember also what she does in the U.S. government either. aside from the fact that she is the ex-wife of Agent Ross. But the fact that Bucky is a congressman, or is running for congressman, is odd. However, I think that Val is sort of pulling the strings, and she's probably the one who's behind, like, the funding and the campaigning of it, because if she gets Bucky in for Congress and he works for her ostensibly, then that just supports her own goals, I think. Let's see. So I'm looking at Phase 5 right now. Phase 5, the last film, is the Thunderbolts. Apparently Lawrence Fishburne is returning as Bill Foster in this film, which I just did not realize was happening. A group of anti-heroes are caught in a deadly trap by Valentia Allegra de Fontaine and are forced into a dangerous mission that could bring them redemption if they unite as a team. I just went into the Wikipedia page for the Thunderbolts asterisk. It says that there are conflicting reports on whether Harrison Ford will appear in this film, reprising his role as General Thunderbolt Ross. So, take it or leave it. Could go one way or the other. Who knows? Because that movie, something I didn't note is how it is evident that stuff got reworked and cut and, like, ADR lines here and there, but I'm fine with that. I don't really care. But I do hope that he at least makes a quick appearance and, like, in some way that Brave New World continues on to the Thunderbolts asterisk. But Thunderbolts is going to be the final film in the Phase 5 of the MCU. After that, we got Daredevil Born Again Season 1 and Ironheart, which comes out in June. Ironheart, I'm glad that they've taken quite a while to work on, because that thing finished filming, 2022, I think? And thank God that they didn't rush it to, work on the effects and everything like that. So that's interesting. We're getting Daredevil Born Again. Neither of those really contribute much, I can't imagine, to the wider MCU as it stands. Of course, we had Friendly Neighborhood Spider-Man Season 1, but that's its own thing. I still haven't watched that either. But that's a whole other bucket of fish. But Ironheart, it's going to be, what is it going to even be? Apparently Sacha Baron Cohen is going to be involved in Ironheart in some form or fashion, maybe as Mephisto. Wouldn't surprise me, since the Hood is is a part of this, and that's like sort of a demonic kind of character, magical character. But I don't think we really have to worry about anything that happens in Ironheart probably extending itself to anything further, especially, again, from the fact that the world of the MCU is going to end next year, in 2026. Now, this is where things get interesting, is Phase 6, right? Is that what I'm on? What is this? Yeah, Phase 6. There's no Phase 7 yet. We're at the end of Phase 6, the very tail end. I'm sorry, the end of Phase 5. Which is insane that it started with Ant-Man and the Wasp, Quantumania, and is now continued this far. Oh my god, I forgot Secret Invasion was even a thing. I still haven't watched that one either. But Phase 6 is the current finale of this grand scheme of things. There's been some shows that have been sort of like kind of pushed back, I think. I think Wonder Man is something that was supposed to be maybe Phase 5, but got kind of pushed back. Apparently, Disney has scheduled additional releases for unannounced Marvel Studios films on February 13th and November 6th, 2026. One of those is probably like just a position that they can put Blade in if they ever get to it. Because the sort of film slate, the general film slate of that is Fantastic Four First Steps, Blade, Avengers Doomsday, Avengers Secret War, Spider-Man 4, and Doctor Strange 3. Now, if anything, Ironheart could have, in some form or fashion, lead into Doctor Strange 3. But I don't think that might I guess it could, because Doctor Strange 2 ends with Clea appearing and being like, "You're fucking stuff up, dude. You gotta stop. You're causing incursions, motherfucker. Come with me. We gotta get ready for the next Avengers movie." It wouldn't shock me if Avengers Doomsday possibly starts with something similar to how Multiverse of Madness starts, which is like a little action set piece involving Doctor Strange and Clea, who have been, since we last saw them, like maybe traversing the multiverse or the dark... What is it called? What the fuck is her home realm, home dimension called? The dark reality or something like that. And doing things and then having to pop back to Earth, and then we bust into like the first beats of the main characters we're following, and then this and that, blah, blah, blah. Which is, now that I'm thinking about it, just kind of how the other movies started. But hey, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. So that could be something. That could be leading us. There's nothing on the Wikipedia page or any official announcements about a Doctor Strange 3. I'm going to do a quick searchy search. Doctor Strange seemingly is going to only be in, it's going to be the next Avengers film. Avengers Doomsday is when he'll be seemingly appearing. So I don't know about that. If there is a Doctor Strange 3, and if it is in this phase, it gets added on at a later point. Because currently, according to this image I found on Reddit, it's 2027. Then it'll be in some way, it'll be a continuation. It'll be the Multiverse of Madness to the original Doctor Strange. Which is interesting. That Doctor Strange just kind of gets his own film here and there. Like, he gets one film, he has to do some team-ups. He gets his film, has to do some team-ups. So, Fantastic Four First Steps. That is going to be the very first film. July 25th, 2025. Mole Man is expected to appear in some form or fashion. I don't know if it's going to be... we've seen the underground stuff in that. This is stuff I've discussed previous episodes about Fantastic Four leaks and whatnot. People that had just gone spelunking one day found like a whole Mole Man based set, which is really funny. And he's going to be introduced or like appearing in this unless he gets cut for some reason. I can't imagine it's going to be very much, in any way pertinent to the film. But what is this? This says, from Jeff Snyder, who is a well-known figure in the sort of like leaks and whatnot department of movies, I believe, if this is the correct man that I'm thinking of. Dr. Doom is set to appear at some kind of possibly post-credit scene in this film. Doesn't mean that he is in this reality, it just means that in this picture, he is going to be appearing most likely as a setup. It's going to involve incursions in some way. It might be Doctor Strange. Fuck. It might be Doctor Doom. I don't know. What could he do? It'd be like, oh, Doctor Doom has the fucking Infinity Gauntlet, and he's doing what the Avengers did in the comics, where they use the Infinity Gauntlet to essentially have another Earth be their human shield. If I remember correctly, that is something that they had to do, that the Illuminati decided to do, was that every time an incursion was seemingly about to happen on 616, they'd be like, oh, well, drag that other Earth over here, boop, put it right there, and now we're safe. So it could be that. It could be Doom doing some sort of research and magical machinations. If it is in this universe, which I don't see likely because the Fantastic Four are in an alternate reality, then I don't know, he could witness or like see on like his secret security footage or like news reports, like, oh, that foolish cowardice Richards has fled reality or something. I better follow suit because he kind of knows his stuff. But Doom knows better. So that's something that could be happening. I don't fucking know. Who knows how how he could possibly be brought into this? So that's done. Then, May 1st, 2026. It is so insane to me that Avengers Doomsday and Spider-Man 4 are only a little over a year away. Because Avengers Doomsday, does it say when it's going to start production? It's scheduled to be released. Filming is scheduled to begin late March 2025 in London and is going to last until August. Seemingly, they're going to do the same thing that they did with the past two Avengers films, Infinity War and Endgame, which is they're going to film them concurrently. And what I'm going to say about that is thank God that at least Stephen McFeely is involved in this. I would have much preferred Marcus to be there as well. Christopher Marcus and Stephen McFeely. They're the guys who did... they did the Chronicles of Narnia. What? They did Captain America First Avenger. They did Thor the Dark World. That was interesting. I didn't know that. But more importantly... I don't hate Thor the Dark World. It's not the best film. I definitely rank it low. The scenes that take place on Earth aren't the best. But the stuff with Loki and Thor and their brotherly bond and how they grow as characters, I really enjoy that. Christopher Marcus and Stephen McFeely did the screenplays of all three Captain America films. They did Infinity War. They did Endgame. They apparently did The Gray Man in some form or fashion. But they're also doing Avengers Doomsday and Avengers Secret Wars. They're the sort of quintuplet. Actually, are they both doing it? That's interesting. I don't know if they're both doing it, because the only thing I'm seeing listed here is that it's Michael Waldron, who was the writer of Multiverse of Madness and the creator of Loki. Huh. I think it's because McFeely and Marcus, they share a Wikipedia page. You know, like that weird couple that you know that has the same Facebook or Instagram account that they share. But that is currently in pre-production. They're going to begin filming next month. So if you're into leaks, if you're into spoilers, make sure you find the Reddit subreddits about the MCU leaks and spoilers, because I'm sure there's going to be a fair amount of stuff coming out of that beginning next month. So if you're into it, start looking or get ready to look. If you're not, prepare to start actively trying to hide stuff. Because it's coming. And that's not the only thing. The other one is that beginning halfway and into this, let's say Avengers Doomsday and Secret Wars is filming both from March to August. What is that? March, April, May, June, July, August. About a 6-month window of time that they're filming probably both of those movies, because I don't see anything listed on here about anything else, which is interesting. For Secret Wars, about them filming at any time. So seemingly 6 months to do both films. I feel like that's probably right based on what they did with Endgame. That's going to be happening. Then, starting in June and until October 2025, so June, July, August, September, October, 5 whole months. That's a long time to film. I feel like that's like 2 or 3 months too long. Is the new ultimate... What am I saying? The new Spider-Man film. Untitled Spider-Man No Way Home sequel. A.k.a. Spider-Man 4. So why is that taking so long to film? I do wonder. I hope to God it's something good and it's not Sony getting their hands into shit again and trying to do stuff with Venom in the multiverse again, like those rumors are saying. God almighty. That'll just be so bad. That is directed by Destin Daniel Cretton. I still don't know how to say the dude's name. He directed Shang-Chi. And he also is directing and working on Wonder Man, which I'll get to as well once I start getting to the discussions of the TV series. So that is coming. I don't know why is that filming so long? How long were the other Spider-Man films? How long did it take to film Spider-Man No Way Home? Let's see. Filming took place October 2020 to March 2021. So October, November, December, January, February, March. Okay, it's 6 months, I guess. I don't know why that just seemed long for what it is. But I guess not. I guess there's quite a bit that goes into it. I guess 6 months is about right. I don't know. Doesn't that seem off to anybody else? Especially the fact that it's overlapping with a other production, being the Avengers films. Like, is there something going on there? I wonder. Who knows? I wish I had more to discuss about this. Possibly something Blade related. But who knows? So we got that coming out. Spider-Man No Way Home sequel. July 24th, 2026. And that is going to be screenwritten by Chris McKenna and Eric Summers. Let's see what they've done. So, Chris McKenna worked on Ant-Man and the Wasp. That's good. I like that movie. He also worked on Spider-Man Homecoming, Far From Home, and No Way Home. So, that's... Okay, so it's the guys who did... Okay. That lessens my worries a bit more, I think, for this movie, in that the screenwriters are the guys who wrote the first 3 MCU Spider-Man films. And top it off by the fact that it's Destin Daniel Cretton, I don't know, Creton, who is the director. It's a bit more, I've been assuaged, I guess, so I'm happy with that. I'm less worried, I think. Christ alive, did the Fantastic Four have a lot of screenwriters. Jeff Kaplan and Ian Springer and Josh Friedman and Cameron Squires and Eric Pearson and Peter Cameron. What the fuck happened there? It's just, what, was it an old script that they got or something? Why was there so many writers on that? Yeah, and then the only other 2 films that they have listed are just the Avengers films. So the major thing that we have to worry about for Spider-Man No Way Home sequel, untitled, is Amy Pascal and Sony. God, I hope that they aren't. Just let Marvel handle it. Let Kevin Feige handle this. Please, don't mess this up, Sony. And I just realized that the Spider-Man movie is kind of taking the place of the original Captain Marvel, which, if I remember correctly, that came out after Infinity War, but before Endgame, so between the two. So that's what's happening here. It's going to be Fantastic Four in a couple months, summer. That's the last film that we get of this year. Followed by Avengers Doomsday in May 2026, and then July 24th, 2026 is the Spider-Man 4. And in May 2027, actually, I should point out. Jesus, May 2027 is Avengers Secret Wars. Almost 20 years after Iron Man has been released, Avengers Secret Wars is releasing. Imagine going back in time to 2007, like when the trailer was released for Iron Man, and being like, in 20 years, there is going to be an adaptation of Secret Wars. No, not that one! Because in another 8 years, this writer named Jonathan Hickman is going to come in, and he's going to blow everything out of the water. He's going to blow people's minds with his iteration of Secret Wars. It's going to be about Doom, the multiverse, everything. It's going to be nuts. And then the Marvel Cinematic Universe, that's what it's going to be called, Mr. 2007 man. It's going to adapt that fucking storyline. Jesus, we've come so far. But that is, for the current standpoint, that's all that we got. Aside from this Reddit thread that's talking about Doctor Strange and Blade for some reason. According to this one comic, people are thinking, according to this one comment on this Reddit thread from 4 months ago, people think it might be an adaptation of Time Runs Out, which was the lead up to the 2025 Secret Wars comic. That's something I saw somebody say on this thread. Other people are thinking that it's going to tie into the Incursion plot and that it makes no sense to release it after Secret Wars. But if, like I said earlier, if it's just like it doesn't, that doesn't really matter, does it? Why would Doctor Strange 3 be all about the Incursions if we're just going to get that in Avengers Doomsday? I think it does make more sense, like I said before, if Doctor Strange 3 leads into that. In Avengers Doomsday, we get to follow Doctor Strange and Clea. We kind of learn along with the characters from them how the incursions work from what we don't already know, reminding people of what came previously in the films with a Multiverse of Madness and the Marvels. And then once everything's settled down, then we get some more Doctor Strange stuff. What could they do? Dormammu back again. Bring Mordo back again. Nightmare. Have that fucking happen. I don't know. But let's see. What were those two dates? Disney has scheduled additional release dates for unannounced Marvel Studios films on February 13th and November 6th, 2026. What is this article from? This is from a Variety article. Let's see. A Variety article from August 2nd, 2024. Marvel removes 2026 title searchlights, moves November major Disney release. So Disney has scheduled additional release dates for unannounced Marvel Studios films on February 13th and November 6th, 2026. February 13th and November 6th, 2026. So, if anything, if they really do make a Doctor Strange 3, because like I said, I haven't heard anything. I haven't seen any rumors or anything about it. Let me look it up. Marvel Studios spoilers? Is that what it was? Yeah, Marvel Studios spoilers is the subreddit that you want to get into if you're interested in following along with the leaks and what's going to be coming in the future. So there is a... What is that? So there was a rumor 2 years ago that it was going to be adopting a Time Runs Out comic event for Doctor Strange 3, which would pick off in where we saw the story leave off with Doctor Strange and Clea trying to fix an incursion. Strange has been sought out by a multiversal organization called the Black Priests. Clea is a member of the organization. It is located, the headquarters, in the nothing space of destroyed universes, which exists within the space of two dead universes caused by an incursion. It will be revealed in the film that the multiverse is dying. The cause of this decay is the result of incursions happening all across the multiverse, the most recent one being caused by Doctor Strange. The film also elaborates on a point made in the previous movie regarding Strange and his threat to the multiverse. The upcoming sequel will explain how Steven is a threat by establishing him as a common denominator when it comes to incursions across the multiverse, aside from the main danger of the Council of Kangs. Remember that? Well, it will be confirmed that the main reason for the decay of multiverses due to the incursions caused by the Council of Kangs is at the unknown time, blah, 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 blah. This is all about Kang stuff. Don't think that's still happening. That was from thecosmiccircus.com. Don't know where they got this as their source, but I think that's actually pretty interesting, because that leads me into thinking about the comic Secret Wars and how much of a role Strange played in that. As Doctor Doom's second in command, his major domo, if you will. I think that would be actually pretty cool, because in my sort of Phase 6 prediction video that I did several months ago, I was trying to think how they could like tie Doctor Doom and Doctor Strange into one another to create that dynamic that we see in the comic Secret Wars. But if they establish that Doctor Strange is this common denominator between the incursions, then you can really work that around to being like, it's for the greater good that Doctor Strange has to help Doctor Doom, which is essentially what it is in the books. But it's been so long since I read that, and I didn't read any prelude or lead up to it. So I honestly can't remember. I'm going to have to read this, what was it? Time Runs Out storyline comic event, because I don't remember that at all. I don't think I ever actually read that. Maybe I did. I don't remember. It's been so long. It's been 10 years since that event came out. Where was I even going with that? I don't even know. I'm losing my mind fucking drinking this goddamn energy drink. 200 milligrams of caffeine. Finally found it. You could really play into that, the emotional aspect, and it's strange realizing that he has to work with this mysterious figure who kind of looks like Tony Stark if he ever saw his face under the mask. And that's assuming, again, I'm still on the fence between whether or not Robert Downey Jr. is actually going to be Doctor Doom. I feel like they could still sweep the rug out from under our feet. Like, I'm suspicious of it. There's something about it that just doesn't seem like it's the truth, or that it's the whole truth. So I think if they do have Doctor Doom, take over and do all this with the multiverse and Battle World and all that, then this actually kind of works. I kind of like this. I kind of like the fact that, like, Doctor Doom, or Doctor Strange, you're a common denominator when it comes to incursions across the multiverse. You're fucking stuff up, dude. You goddamn shaky hand alcoholic. And Strange is so remorseful at this and over what he has done and what other versions of him have done. Because if other versions are fucking over like entire realities, then that means that even though he doesn't want to believe so, deep inside himself, he could still do that. So instead, he goes against it. He teams up with Doctor Doom. He allies himself with Doctor Doom into Avengers Doomsday, which this could all just happen in Avengers Doomsday now that I say it out loud. We don't need a Doctor Strange 3 to happen before this. We don't need Doctor Strange 3 on February 13th, 2026. This could just be some of the plot for Doomsday. Honestly, just wrap this into it. Make it a fucking 6-hour-long movie. Is there anything more recent about Doctor Strange 3 aside from that? Let's see. Whoever Alex P is. I don't know who that is, but it's back from fucking Cosmic Circus. Which I think this is the same link. It is. Cosmic Circus, Alex P, whoever that is, I guess it's a leaker, addresses the possibility of Doctor Strange 3 in this saga. The main premise I reported in the Time Runs Out article is still happening, according to my sources. Whether or not it is explored in a solo film or a side story in Doomsday, that remains to be seen. There we fucking go! There we go. They are keeping this shit under wraps, baby. In addition, because I almost forgot, there are now rumors, I just found this on one of the posts, is that Margaret Qualley, I think that's how you pronounce her name, could be the Marvel's Rogue. That was sent to me by one of my buddies as well. I forgot about that entirely. That is interesting. Margaret Qualley, I think I only know her from Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. She plays, I think, the hitchhiker girl that Cliff Booth picks up and drives out to Spawn Ranch. She could be really good. I think she has the face for Rogue. She's very pretty, obviously, but there's something about just how her face is shaped and laid out that really just makes me think of Rogue. I'm fine with either her. Also, I think in that movie, she does have a Southern accent. I'd be fine with her or Keke Palmer. Those are my two top contestants for Rogue, especially after Keke Palmer did her whole Halloween costume as Rogue. So, according to this, casting and rumor roundup as of February 14th, 2025 on the Marvel Studios spoilers. There is a little note I'm seeing here that says, where did that go? John Rocha has an insider source, apparently. I don't know who John Rocha is, but he's somebody who's seemingly on this podcast that these guys host. I don't know. Their X-Men movie is expected to drop 2 to 3 months after Secret Wars. And Snyder suggests that the Mutants movie might release in the second half of 2027. So, fuck me, man. That is so long. So May 7th is when Avengers Secret Wars releases. It's probably going to be a July release if they do that. And that is going to be in whatever the new rebooted reality looks like following the ending of Secret Wars, when the multiverse is recreated. So they could go in so many goddamn directions with just that alone. Are they going to have mutants already being a thing? Is it? I hope that they kind of do. That it's like kind of a pre-established sort of idea. Because, oh my god, I just feel like we've had to deal with that so much. We've had to deal with mutants appearing and being, like, just that establishment of them. I feel like we've had to deal with that almost as many times as we've had to deal with Peter Parker's parents being murdered, or Uncle Ben dying, or any other fucking tropes like that every movie that covers it just feels like they have to introduce. I would just like a more Grant Morrison approach to the idea, where it's just like, it's here, get used to it. And yes, I did just quote Don Cheadle from Iron Man 2. There's also My Time to Shine's idea, leak, rumor that Javier Bardem is being looked at for the role of Mr. Sinister. My Time to Shine, sort of a ridiculer, or being known for being ridiculed in the leak rumor biosphere of the internet. So take that with a grain of salt. But there's also a rumor that John Hamm could also be being looked at for Mr. Sinister, which just feels like a fan thing, like John Krasinski. Like, that's been people have been saying that for nigh on 10 years already. Apparently, Javier Bardem was in talks to play Galactus, but obviously they went with Ralph Ineson instead, so they could still want to get him involved in some way. Which I'm okay with. I think that'd be neat, Javier Bardem. Mr. Sinister, there's been nothing with him, so, that'd be cool, I guess. If anything, I think it would be cool if they adapted the new Krakoa sort of era of Mr. Sinister, where he's like a flamboyant, flashy diva. There's also rumors of Denzel Washington still being Magneto. That's something I talked about like 2 years ago, I feel like, at this point. And people got kind of mad at me, like, in some of those comments, where I thought it would be cool if they sort of tied it in like, to Black History in America. I thought that would be neat, to have Magneto be black. I don't have an issue with it. We've gotten the best version of Magneto twice in Ian McKellen and Michael Fassbender. Let's do something new. Fuck it, who cares? A black guy can still be Jewish. So that's just the general outline. Here we go. List of Marvel films. Marvel Cinematic Films. Where is it? Future. Armor Wars. But what the fuck? Is Armor Wars still a thing? I thought it was a TV show. Oh, no, wait. Didn't it start as a TV show and then it got switched to a film? Yeah, got reworked into a feature film. Development had slowed down by February 2025. I'll say so. Set after the events of Secret Invasion, Walton Goggins rises his role as Sonny Birch. So, that could be that February 13th, 2026 release. They could do Fantastic Four, Armor Wars, Avengers Doomsday. Be weird, but they could. Especially since February is that month where they kind of just chuck shit that you don't want in terms of movies. In addition to the future of the MCU, there is Black Panther 3, Directed and written by Ryan Coogler, of course. He's a handsome-looking man. I just saw his picture pop up on the Wikipedia page. He's a good-looking guy. So we got Black Panther 3, Blade. Sure, okay. Shang-Chi and the Legend of the Ten Rings sequel, and X-Men. So if those two dates are true, the February 13th and November 6th, 2026, what do you think would work the best? So, what is that? What is the Mutants? Wasn't that X-Men movie? Aren't they calling it the Mutants, or is that just a what is this? There's a British playwright named Michael Leslie who was in talks to write the film of the untitled X-Men film, which where did I hear that it was going to be called just The Mutants? Was that a Comic-Con or something? I could have sworn that was a thing, but I don't see it listed here anywhere. Yeah, Blade was removed from the schedule. I'm just seeing this. Blade was removed from the schedule or October 2024 was when that happened. My God, when was that announced? Was that 2019? 2019! July 2019! Blade was announced. Fucking Kevin Feige. I'll write your Blade movie. And I'm not in a union. So I can take a pay cut. I'll fucking do it for you. I can come up with something good. I can come up with something better than whatever is happening that it's not being made. Just let me do it. I'll take care of it. You don't have to worry, Kevin. I got some nice hands. I can give you a nice shoulder massage if you need it, because I'm sure you're stressed. Oy vey. Interesting enough, there is... I'm seeing a note about Black Panther 3 that Denzel Washington was being discussed with Coogler about being cast in the role. So that's interesting. Could Black Panther 3 continue to follow the plot thread from the first one about that Wakandan outreach program that they have in Oakland? Is that where it was? And then that in some way involves Black Magneto. And then, of course, we have Armor Wars. Which is, yeah. I was looking forward to it. I hope it comes out. But let's get back to it. So February 13th and November 6th, 2026. So it would be Fantastic Four First Steps. And then... Where is it? I lost everything. It could be... I feel like Armor Wars is the most likely of things. Let's see. Did they even start filming it? I don't remember. I don't think they ever did. I don't think they ever started filming Armor Wars. Don Cheadle reprising his role as James Rhodes' War Machine. In August 2021, Yasser Lester was hired as the series' head writer. In September 2022, Marvel Studios decided to rework the series into a feature film with Cheadle and Lester remaining with the project. Development had slowed down by February 2025. They could have already filmed this. I honestly don't know. Because the set photos from Ironheart didn't appear or leak until sometime last year. And like I said earlier, that was filmed in 21, 22. So, for all I know as it stands, it could still be a thing. Or it could have already, been in production. But I can't find much about it. They're keeping that under wraps if it was. But it seems likely if it ever does materialize. And I hope it does, because I really like Don Cheadle. I like Walton Goggins. You can bring back... what is his name? The Dancing Man. From Iron Man 2. Bring him back. Put it in a February 13th, 2026 scale release date. So if it doesn't do great, shocker, it's February. It's a Valentine's Day movie. Go take your beau to see Armor Wars. So that's an option. Then November 6th, 2026. So that would be, let's say, hypothetical, it's Fantastic Four this year, Armor Wars, then Avengers Doomsday, then Spider-Man, then November 6th. What the fuck would that be out of this list of things that we have? Most likely, Black Panther. Because Shang-Chi is also directed and written by Destin Daniel Cretton. And he's working on the Spider-Man 4. So that's not coming out soon. Realistically, I think it could be Black Panther 3. Now let's go to that. List of Afrofuturist films. List of underwater science fiction. November 2024, Coogler had discussions with Denzel Washington about casting him in a role. The next month, you can just say December. Moore. Who's Moore? Who the fuck is Moore? Moore? Who the fuck is Moore? What is happening? Who the hell's Moore? Nate Moore, producer. Who the fuck is that? Who is this guy? And why? What? I guess he's just a producer. Marvel executive Nate Moore, leaving studio as he transitions into producing. The next month, Nate Moore announced plans to exit his role at Marvel Studios in March 2025 to pursue producing outside the studio, though he would return to produce Black Panther 3 along with Marvel Studios. So yeah, that is clearly the next probably big thing that they're pushing towards, I think, outside of the officially listed 5 films thus far of Phase 6 is Black Panther 3. And I think, based on the release dates of the first two, which, correct me if I'm wrong, both came out later in the year. My God, that was 2022 that came out. That's insane. That's right, because I'm pretty sure... When did I see Black Panther 2? Did I see that? I think... What is the release date? Why can't I find it? There it is, November. Yeah, November 11th, 2022. And Black Panther 1... Oh, it was released February. Never mind. That's pretty much the end of the year, if you look at it weirdly. What is the beginning of the year, if not the end of the previous year? I feel like that realistically could happen. That could be produced. They're already in pre-production for it, clearly. It could be filmed probably around the same time as they're doing the Avengers films, if anything. If they're overlapping the Avengers films with Spider-Man 4, there's no reason that they can't overlap it with another one. Just film it in London, which is where Spider-Man 4... Hey, look at that! I didn't bring it up earlier. Spider-Man 4 filming is expected to last June to October 2025 in London. Just like Avengers Doomsday and Avengers 5. No, Avengers 6. Secret Wars. So, assuming any of this is correct, factually correct, here's what I'm seeing could happen. Fantastic Four First Steps, Armor Wars, Doomsday, Spider-Man 4, Black Panther 3, Avengers Secret Wars. That is most likely the definitive ending of Phase 6. There is no announcements for Phase 7. When's the next D23? D23. Let's see here. Is there a list of, like, when these fucking things occur? Oh my God, what is all this? Let's see. There'll be a D23 in 2025. D23... Okay, there's a D23 every 2 years is when it happens. Destination D23 is returning in 2020. Oh, God, this is a YouTube video. I don't want to watch that. Here we go. Destination D23, a journey around the worlds of Disney. August 29th to 31st, 2025 at the Walt Disney World Resort. It's interesting. Is this regular? What is this? Is this actually it? Oh, here we go. Yeah, okay, so it's called Destination D23, a journey around the worlds of Disney. Destination D23 is scheduled... I could have just checked the fucking Wikipedia page. At Disney Coronado Springs Resort at Walt Disney World. And it will be double the size of previous events. Oh my God. So, fuck, this is going to be a pretty big year. So expect that in a couple months as well. A month after Fantastic Four, they are no doubt going to begin announcing, most likely, some of these films that I've just been discussing. And their actual release dates and their proper places in the slots. They're probably going to say Blade is still being pushed back unless Kevin Feige comes to me, like he should, and has me write the screenplay of it. And then we can get that ball rolling. But, yeah, with D23 coming up, I expect quite a bit of announcements for the rest of Phase 6, which, like I was saying, is no doubt going to end with Avengers Secret Wars. I cannot see... why wouldn't they just start Phase 7 with mutants? Because Secret Wars is such a good way to end this phase, this final phase, this phase of the classic, traditional era. In 20, 30 years, people are going to look back at Phase 1 through 6 and be like, oh, well, that one's those first 6 phases were way better than phases 30 to 20 to 45. I don't know. But this is no doubt going to be Phase 7 begins with untitled X-Men movie. I assume it's going to be announced at D23. With the TV shows, however, why did I close that one thing of the Marvel Cinematic shit? So that was a list of the films. Let's see if I can find list. See, list of, yeah, here we go. List of Marvel Cinematic television shows. So Future. There is a Nova show. That's right. And if I remember from that that casting and rumor post, there is a actor named Tom Glenn Carney. What is happening? What the fuck is happening? Named Tom Glenn Carney, who is reportedly being met to discuss a role within the MCU. And one of the top comments on that post is a gif of Nova. He looks like Nova. Who is this guy? He was in Dunkirk. He was in The King. That's a good movie with Timothée Chalamet. I really enjoyed that film. He was also... oh my god, what the fuck is this? Aegon the Second Targaryen from House of the Dragon. I didn't watch it. He is a very pretty man. He has some big, expressive eyes. My god. I'm getting flustered just looking at him. So that could be a thing. Because in addition to the television series that are coming, which is Eyes of Wakanda, an animated film, I think that follows possibly the Dora Milaje? Oh no, it's the Hatut Zaraze, which are the Wakandan warriors who carry out dangerous missions around the world to retrieve vibranium artifacts throughout history. That's interesting. Hope that's good. I don't recognize any of these names on here, except for Annika Noni Rose, who was, oh my god, Tiana is in this? I fucking love Tiana. I never saw Princess and the Frog until a couple months ago, just because even though I have a Disney-based podcast, I've never watched that many Disney films. I fucking love Princess and the Frog. That is such a good movie. And she's the only person I actually recognize, I think, from this list of actors that are appearing in it. Oh, apparently there's an Iron Fist that's going to be appearing. So seemingly what this is going to be is it's going to be a show told throughout the various eras in time, I'd imagine. How many episodes does it say it's going to be? It's, what the fuck, 4 episodes? Jesus. So, since it's only 4 episodes, I'm expecting probably very early era of Wakanda. What could be interesting? They're not going to do anything. They're not going to involve Wakanda in anything that happened probably from the 1400s to the late 1700s, late 1800s. For obvious reasons, I think. So, probably very early prehistory Wakanda, maybe? 19th, 20th century Wakanda? Modern day Wakanda? You know what would be really cool? Is if the final episode of Eyes of Wakanda jumps into the future or even is just in modern day, because in the comics, something I really like especially when I found out about it, because I just didn't read the comics when this was happening, is that Wakanda is colonizing space. Just like of their own volition, on their own accord. They're sending ships out. They have a whole territory in space already. What if that ends in this? What if that's like the big finale for this show? But apparently there's also another Wakanda series, which is, at least when it was being developed 2 years ago, was about Okoye and the Dora Milaje. So I guess that's what I was thinking of. But I feel like that's not going to happen. I feel like that's probably, if that was a thing, I bet it's been reworked by Ryan Coogler into Black Panther 3. If I had to guess, I don't know. The other show is Marvel Zombies. Marvel Zombies is probably the most basic, bare bones fucking discussion I can have right now, because it's 4 episodes. It's seemingly set within that alternate reality that we saw in the What If series. It follows a group of survivors who fight against former heroes and villains that have turned into zombies. So we've seen the concept art release and leak of it prior to that. It has Katie from Shang-Chi, it has Red Guardian, it has Shang-Chi himself, Scarlet Witch, the zombie, who I don't know if no, that's what happened in the comics. I was going to say, I'm pretty sure she rebuilt Vision, but that's what happens in the books. Jimmy Woo, Yelena, Kate Bishop, Riri Williams, Kamala Khan. The creators describe her as the Frodo of the story. That's interesting. Is this going to be a road trip style show? Is this going to be like a pseudo adaptation of like Old Man Logan or something? Also going to have Peter Parker from this one, Death Dealer, which I think was the character from Shang-Chi, Moon Knight, Wenwu, and then of course these zombie characters, Hawkeye, Captain America, Abomination, Ghost as a zombie, that sounds horrifying, Captain Marvel as a zombie, equally horrifying, Icarus, and Okoye. So it's written by Zeb Wells, a writer that I like for the most part. He's done some pretty good stuff. I wasn't too big of a fan of his Spider-Man run, but I liked some other stuff he did. And then they're all directed by Brian Andrews, who I'm not too familiar with. I don't know what he did or what he's done. He's a storyboard artist, so that's interesting. Huh. Oh my gosh, he's like, fuck me, he's done like storyboards for just about every MCU film. He's a lot of Marvel films. He's been the storyboard director of. He also directed What If as well. So that's pretty, no pun intended, bare bones of a story, I suppose. But then we get Wonder Man. Wonder Man is probably the show I'm most excited for, just because I really want to see what they do with this. And it has, I'm going to try to pronounce his name as respectfully as I can, because I don't remember how it's pronounced. Yahya Abdul-Mateen II, who was Black Manta in the Aquaman films, and also Dr. Manhattan in HBO's Watchmen. But more importantly is that he is going to be Simon Williams, a super-powered actor and stuntman who auditions for a lead role in his superhero show, and he is seemingly going to be mentored probably by Ben Kingsley as Trevor Slattery. Oh my god, and it's going to have Grim Reaper. Oh no, we don't get horribly racist... Oh, he might still be racist. We don't get regularly white supremacist, racist Grim Reaper in this show, because he is played by Demetrius Gross, who is apparently Simon's brother. So that's interesting. That's a weird, odd reversal. Oh, wait, no, it's not. What am I saying? What was I thinking of? Ignore all that. Because that's just regular Marvel. My brain is addled by a lot of caffeine and talking for about 2.5 hours by myself. Yeah, he's actually, yeah, I don't know what I was thinking of. What was I thinking? Why did I get confused and think that Grim Reaper was someone else's brother? Is it just the fact that they're black? Is that what messed up my mind? I don't know. But, that... Oh, I hope he has the giant sickle hand. Grim Reaper is an insane character. I've discussed it before, how horrible of a person he is in the comics. Fucking huge racist. It's ridiculous. He is in love in the comics with a black woman who is an albino because she's she's like the ultimate white. Who is he in Straight Outta Compton? He played someone named Rock. I don't recall that at all. I don't know who Rock was in Straight Outta Compton. Good movie, by the way. I enjoyed it. But Wonder Man is something I'm really looking forward to. It also has Ed Harris, fucking RoboCop, fucking the second best, or not RoboCop. That's not who that is. Cut that part. Has Ed Harris, fucking Mr. Truman Show himself, is playing Simon's agent, so that's fun. Josh Gad is in this. Okay. I'm really looking forward to this. I'm very excited to see where this goes. And I'm excited to see if and when they deal with Wonder Man dying. Because a big thing about his character has become the fact that he dies. And has come back. And has died again and has come back. And it really has affected him mentally and emotionally. Is set to debut. When is this coming out? December 2025. Oh, December. Oh, yeah. Also, Marvel Zombies in October. That makes sense. December, though. That means it's leading into 2026, probably. Because it's 8 to 10 episodes. Man, I want it now. I'm really excited for Wonder Man. I think Fantastic Four, my most anticipated of the films. Wonder Man, most anticipated of the shows. Then we get to Vision Quest, finally. Who knows? Who the fuck knows? Vision Quest is a sequel to WandaVision. Follows Vision, White Vision, as he, finds himself. I'm really excited for it because it does have a return of Ultron with James Spader. So hopefully that actually has something happen with it. I can't imagine it'll be too much, and I can't imagine Ultron will ever appear again because, say it again, they're ending the multiverse. They're destroying the world. So unless Ultron comes back and whatever they do in Phase 7 and beyond, this was probably the end of Ultron. So hopefully it's worth it. There's also the guy from Iron Man, the first one, the bald guy who's part of the 10 Rings. He's coming back in that. I could kind of take or leave it. We don't even know how many episodes it's going to be. We just know that it's releasing sometime in 2026. Then there are the kind of like ancillary floating things. I brought it up at the beginning of this little segment, and that was the Nova series. The untitled Nova series, probably just going to be called Nova. So that is going to be featuring Richard Rider. He's the classic Nova, although there was a boy Nova who I don't know. I'm not a big fan of Nova. I don't care. I don't really know what they could do with Nova. Like, I don't know any characters that are associated with him. The most I've read of Nova is, I think, is it Secret Invasion that he shows up on Earth and figures out what's happening and is like, fuck. The Skrulls? While I'm dealing with Annihilus? Jeez, I remember something vaguely where he's in like a big satellite, like listening installment, like military base, I think. Is that what happens? I don't remember. But that is in development. It was revealed to be in development in 2022. And let's see, in 2024, Kevin Feige confirmed the series would feature Richard Rider and anticipated that it would release 3 or 4 years later. So this is 100% a Phase 7 show, possibly featuring that actor from earlier, Tom Glenn Carney, with Ed Bernero as the showrunner. I don't know who that is, but apparently he worked on Criminal Minds. Never seen it. So that's going to be a thing. Then, of course, we have Daredevil Born Again Season 2. Filming of the second season is set to begin March 9th, 2025. It's described as a part 2 of the first season, so that's always fun when they do that. And how many episodes is Daredevil? The first one. Have they said? 6. 6 episodes. Interesting. Oh, that's right. It was originally going to be 18, and then they split it up. Wait, they split it up into 2 9-episode seasons, yet Wikipedia only shows 6. Oh, credited writers for the final 3 episodes. Oh, second season consists of 9 episodes. I don't know what's going on here. Why does Wikipedia only show 3? What is going on here? Or only shows 6. Why are they missing 3? Apparently it is going to be 9. So it's going to be 9 episodes, which makes sense because, yeah, they just split it up. They split up the original 18 episodes into 2 shows. Yeah, that should be good. I still need to start, I should say, Daredevil Season 3, because I never actually watched it. Actually, I think I did. I think I saw the first 1 or 2 episodes. And then what else is there? There is Your Friendly Neighborhood Spider-Man Seasons 2 and 3. Season 2 is in production. Season 3 is in development alongside the Nova show. Daredevil Born Again is also in... what is that? Yeah, that's in pre-production. Yeah, because they aren't even filming yet. Duh. So, a little side note, I don't really have anything to say about that. I haven't watched it yet, like I said earlier. I like the character designs. I like the new stuff they're doing, the different characters. Nico Monroe, I like those aspects. I want to watch it because I am interested in it. Aside from what the actor for Peter Parker said, and his dumbass shit, but not much to really add. It's in an alternate universe. It has no correlation with the actual MCU aside from some sort of mirroring events. So whatever. There is something I just found here that Giancarlo Esposito indicated in May 2024 that he would be featured in an MCU series after being introduced as Sidewinder in Captain America Brave New World. Who knows how true that still is, just due to how much that got reworked. Let's see. I don't think that is probably a thing anymore. Because where could he appear? Armor Wars isn't a show. Wonder Man's not going to happen. Well, Wonder Man, he's not going to be in Wonder Man because that just makes no sense. Vision Quest could be a possibility. That, I think, might be the most reasonable place for him to appear if he is set to appear within a TV show. Because I can't see Daredevil Born Again, just because I feel like that's not big enough of a story to warrant his appearance. I think, if anything, it might just be that, if that is still true, then I feel like Vision Quest might be the place. Maybe Ultron, hires the Serpent Society to get him more adamantium to make a new body. An adamantium body. Maybe Ultron will fucking combine adamantium and vibranium together. Who knows? I think I gotta call it here, almost 3 hours into this discussion, because God almighty, I have other stuff to do. I hope you enjoyed this big return. I hope you enjoyed my discussions of what the future might hold for the MCU. Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. Let me know what you're thinking, what your theories are. Do you think any of the stuff I said could be true? Any of my ideas and speculations? If so, let me know. Let me know in the comments. Of course, follow me online at NotBlakeWild on Instagram, Blue Sky, all social medias. Check out my podcast, my other podcast, I Need Some Disney, where each week we discuss Disney movies, rides, mostly rides in parks and stuff. That's kind of what interests me the most. What else? Shows, games. We're going to be getting into all things Disney. And of course, check out my Patreon as well if you're interested in the comics and you have made it this far. I don't know what I'm going to be discussing in the next episode. I gotta get back into Savage Dragon, because I have all those notes from the Savage Dragon first volume. So maybe that. We'll see. But I hope you enjoyed this episode. Like and subscribe, comment for more, and I will see you next time. Bye!